Good evening, Muttonistas. Now, on my previous video, I did say that that would be my last evening in Lahore. Well, it's turned out not to be the case, and okay, I was always going to have another evening here, and I was going to have a quiet evening. But when I was told there are a few dishes from Lahore which I still hadn't tried, probably more than that in truth, I thought, no, I cannot pass this up, and I cannot but share these dishes with you, Muttonistas. So join me tonight for another food vlog from Lahore. Location was a bit of a surprise to me. It is the Gaddafi Stadium, the cricket stadium no less, in Lahore. Now I hope someday I'll get to watch England play cricket here, but the next best thing I can do is try out some of the delectable food from the massive food court that surrounds the stadium. So apparently when there is a test match on or an ODI or whatever, they do actually close these restaurants and reopen them afterwards. I would have to say, without any actual knowledge, it would probably bode quite well for attending a test match here, because if they can cook restaurant style food here, surely the food at the game is pretty good as well. So I could take you all the way round the stadium. Apparently there are restaurants encircling the whole cricket ground, but I'll just give you a flavour of what's on offer here, because we found a place to sit. But as is often the case in Pakistan, if you sit at a food court or on a food street, then dishes that are only available at other restaurants, they'll bring them to you and you'll pay the individual restaurants separately, which is quite a nice idea, if I may say so, especially since I believe many of the restaurants have their own specialities. And but karai is a name that I've seen in an awful lot of places. I think it's quite a famous chain. So the restaurant we've actually chosen to sit at is called the Dara restaurant, which is famous, I believe, for mutton joint, which is a dish I've yet to have in Pakistan, and I believe it is a local speciality. So we're going to order a couple of other things as well, which I apparently haven't had whilst I'm here, so I don't know what they are, but as always, it's going to be something to look forward to. So, a slight change of plan. We are going to take the mutton joint here at Dara, and then I think we're going to go to But Karahi to have the karahi and a local Lahori fish preparation. And they have two types of seating here, the sort of normal chairs and tables, but also the low couches. I'm here again with Safdar and Shauk, who's out of shot at the moment, and Safdar's chosen the traditional seating, and I'm going to be a wimp and choose the more regular sort of seating. And who needs those fancy electric heaters when you can get the traditional style heating instead? Coal not dole, I believe the phrase used to be. Okay, the dish that we are having at the Dara restaurant, as opposed to the dishes we're having when we move on, has arrived. The mutton joint. Never had this before. Quite possibly I've had whatever the cut of meat is in a European restaurant or an Asian restaurant in the UK, but I'm pretty sure that this will be a new experience for me. No idea how it's going to taste, so let's go down to the table and check it out. Now I can't quite see everything there because it's smothered, or more to the point, the joints are smothered in what looks like crispy onions and garlic and chilies. It looks a bit like a lamb shank, but I'm not quite sure that's what it is because it's from a goat. Okay, so let's pick it up Wow, it's like a goat shank, I think this is. I can see juices dripping off the meat, so I think this will be pretty tasty, and I like the look of those onions and garlic on top. Now maybe I should pick this up by hand, but I'm going to use a fork. Yes, and in taste very similar to a lamb shank, although the meat on a goat is always leaner. And just to give you all a close-up, that is how it looks. This has been cooked in the tandoor, and it was possible to have it served in a gravy like a curry, but given we're going to have a karahi, I believe, later, it was better to have it this way. And to be honest, it's always the purest way of having a piece of meat, to have it grilled, baked, fried or whatever. A beautiful slow-cooked piece of meat, very tender, not as fatty as you might expect, and that chilli and garlic and onion on top, that all enhances the flavour so much. Anyway, I'll get on with this delectable treat and see you when we've finished. So there we are, a couple of bones picked absolutely clean, and that was basically tandoori mutton shank, and it wasn't marinated in the usual yogurt and tandoori style spices, seasoned with a bit of salt and pepper, and what really made the meat stand out, brought the flavours out, were those delectable crispy fried onions, garlic and chilli on top. Great start to the evening. Let's move on to the next place. So the next stop, to a restaurant called Bashir Rahu Mahi, which is a fish speciality restaurant. Now, Lahori fried fish is quite famous, and it's a good thing that I've been taken here tonight, because otherwise I would have left without having it. So, without further ado, let's take a seat and order the fish. Wow. Fish coated in that spicy masala coating, and then put into that huge vat of oil. And wow, it doesn't take long at all for those to start crisping up. And if you can see at the back, there's a chap rubbing masala all over those fish. And these are huge hunks of fish as well, I must have to say. And it goes without saying that these are freshwater fish because we are so far inland. Okay, so the other night we had chicken tower, and here they do chicken tower as well, but they also do fish tower. But given that we had tower style the other night, and we haven't had their speciality, which is the deep fried fish, we're going to go for the deep fried fish. And I believe there is a bit of a waiting time here, but as I say, good fresh food always worth waiting for, and it's always a good sign in Asia if people have to queue to get into a restaurant. And here's the man responsible for the recipe, Bashir Rahu Mahi. Have I just seen a photo of the Colonel Sanders of Pakistan, perhaps? Well, maybe. So we're now wandering around But Karai, very famous name, big chain, loads of them, very popular here in Lahore. And I'm not sure where we're sitting, whether it's in the fish place or here, but I understand we're going to have both dishes brought to us in the same establishment. Although we're going to have chicken here, there's plenty of mutton there for those who prefer their red meat. And no good restaurant of this sort would be complete without their barbecue stand. I believe we are going to select a chicken which is going to be slaughtered at the moment of selection. So if there are any vegetarians watching this video, I'd skip on a few minutes if I were you. So the chicken's not happy. That's the one we've selected for our dinner this evening. Okay, that chicken's been given a stay of reprieve, and we're going to have a black chicken instead. So I'm not going to film the slaughter of the chicken because it's probably a little bit too gory for some of you viewers, but obviously it means the meat is fresh, which is important, and it's the way things are done here. And to be honest, when you have chicken at home, you might not like to believe it, it is killed and slaughtered just in a slightly different way. Chicken has just had its throat slit in the traditional halal manner of slaughtering food.
The blood flows out completely.
Okay. And for chicken, one doesn't particularly want the blood to be there. Although I must admit, for red meat, I do like a bit of blood on my meat. Well, one thing that is slightly disturbing, though, is that the chicken is still twitching. I would have liked to have thought that this religious method of slaughter would kill the chicken quickly. Although I guess it does ensure the safety, sanitation and freshness of the meat. Okay, here we go. We have a master butcher in action, and presumably will skin and remove the feathers from the chicken. This guy's really efficient at getting rid of the feathers and the skin. Can you ask him how many of these he butchers every day?
About 100, near about 100.
100 a day? Wow, gosh.
Like
Wow.
organic chicken. Actually, it's grown up with the organic food,
Okay.
not from the artificial.
So he's just weighed the chicken and it's sold by the kilo, I believe. Apparently it was a male chicken and there's the evidence. So now I think the chicken's off to be washed and cleaned before it goes into a karai. So I've been asking what the difference between a Karachi style karai and a Lahori one is, and there's not a huge amount of difference, but more generous use of cream, yoghurt and butter here, and a bit more tomato. But my friends assure me I'll be able to taste the difference. And so far, the food in Lahore has been a little bit better than the food in Karachi. That's not to say I didn't do anything other than enjoy the food in Karachi, but this is just a notch above, I think. So as you can see, folks, they have these modern heaters by the table, because whilst it's not that cold, it's a little bit parky tonight. We have gone for the traditional form of heating. Okay, and unbeknown to me, an additional beverage has arrived. I'll just show you what it is. Kashmiri tea, I believe. Now, whether I like this or not, I don't know. And I'm not quite sure how it's different from the chai that you see served up in most of Pakistan, but let's give it a try. If I don't like it, I don't like it. That's slightly odd. It's quite milky, but I'm sure I've just bitten into a couple of nuts.
I think it's very nice.
So they've managed to order me one without sugar, so this is actually more pleasant. It's a milky, very mild tea, but it seems to have bits of nut in it, which I've never seen before, but it's very pleasant. So the fish has arrived first, and it's a pretty massive one as well. So let's get stuck in and try the Lahori fried fish. Now a sauce has arrived on the side. I can't tell what that is. What is that? It looks like ketchup, but I assume it isn't ketchup. And it's coated in a very thick batter. I've been a wimp again, gone for a knife and fork, although I believe, as with most things here, it's traditional to eat it with your hands. So there we go, folks. Beware, there are some bones in there.
Beware of the...
Wow, that really is excellent. The fish is deep fried in what is a spicy masala batter, yet the fish inside is tender, moist and not overcooked. So easy to overcook fish, as you well know, especially if it's a big fish and especially if it's deep fried. But these boys are right on the money. So they have served the fish with some sort of chutney, but this is so good, I really don't think it needs anything else. I'm not sure it even needs any lemon, to be honest. The flavours from the masala coating are that strong and flavoursome. And the fish is called Rao, R-A-O-O, a freshwater fish, not one I'm familiar with, but it is very fleshy and very meaty, albeit a bit bony. So that fish has been absolutely destroyed, and that has probably timed itself pretty well because the karahi does take a while to prepare. Now, I've been ploughing on with this Kashmiri tea, which is really rather interesting. It has a flavour of cardamom, which I'd only just started discovering. Also, almonds and pistachios. Very unusual tea, if I may say so. But in terms of milky tea, which I'm not really into, it's definitely one of the more pleasant ones. Okay, the karahi has arrived, and it's a working man's portion we've been given here between the three of us. It is pretty huge, and we'll do pretty well to get through all of this. I suppose it was a whole chicken, so shouldn't be a surprise. Anyway, down to the plate. So here we are, a chicken garnished with, I think we can see, ginger, chilies, coriander in a thick gravy. Served as always with bread, and today I think we've gone for roti, is that right?
Roti.
Roti, yes, it's roti. Roti being a thin wheat bread. The cutlery seems to have disappeared. And note, of course, as always, it's on the bone. Bone always adds flavour. And in the UK, you can, in many establishments these days, actually order it on the bone. If you can, I would recommend you do so. Okay, let's give it a whirl. Wow, what flavours. To put it simply, that's chicken curry on steroids. Of course, it's not a curry, it's a karahi. And served in the karahi, the metal wok, that it was actually cooked in. And it is dancing and oozing with flavours from every single pore. Your chicken, which is obviously completely fresh, has soaked up a lot of the spices, the masala, and of course it's lavishly cooked in ghee, ginger, turmeric, garlic, chilli, coriander, and what an infusion of flavours. Every single mouthful is a delight, and it's such a delight that I'm going to get on with it and come back to you when hopefully we've demolished this karahi. And the chilies, the fresh chilies, they do have quite a bit of heat, not an extreme amount of heat, but give it that bit of zing that a curry always needs. Anyway, enough of me gassing, tutty bye until we've finished. So we did quite a job on that. It was a great team effort between the three of us. Not a bone, not a thing left. And as usual, the waiter was a bit quick to take away the empty vessel. Anyway, that has been another epic night out in Lahore, another great little food tour. This is definitely my last one in Lahore, whatever I say, because I'm leaving tomorrow. But big thank you to Safdar and Shouk. They showed me around all sorts of places in Lahore, and I ought to say Lahore should be one of the first places you pencil in when planning a visit to Pakistan. Anyway, despite having to drag myself away from this lovely city, plenty more content coming up in Pakistan, but I'm going to love you and leave you for now and see you on the next one. And don't forget, till then, you can't beat a bit of mutton.